Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new legal breaking reporting and video analysis update. Former Vice President Mike Pence has just rightfully, legally, constitutionally, and lawfully accused Donald Trump and the Trump administration of wrongfully, illegally, unconstitutionally, and unlawfully and wrongfully violating and ignoring the Constitution. Let's take a look at this brand new reporting by Newsweek. Ladies and gentlemen, the article is titled, Mike Pence accuses Donald Trump of ignoring Constitution. And ladies and gentlemen, the article reads, former Vice President Mike Pence has accused President Donald Trump of supplanting Congress's constitutional authority over trade and commerce, following a federal court ruling that sought to void the majority of his tariffs. The Constitution gives Congress the power to levy taxes and tariffs, Pence wrote on X, formerly Twitter. Article 1, Section 8 provides that the Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises. The President has no authority in the Constitution to unilaterally impose tariffs without an act of Congress, he wrote. This is a message to all you Trump-loving MAGA folk out there. This means that the Constitution of the United States gives only Congress the power of the purse and does not give Donald Trump the power of the purse. Continuing with the reporting and legal breaking analysis. Newsweek has contacted the White House for comment outside regular hours. Ladies and gentlemen, why it matters, we're about to find that out right now. Ladies and gentlemen, why it matters. It matters because the potential economic effects of Trump's tariffs, such as high consumer prices on foreign goods and increased overheads for import-reliant businesses, have drawn scrutiny from Democrats and members of the president's own party. Trump has announced numerous tariffs since returning to office in January, including a 10% quote baseline unquote tariff on almost all U.S. imports, arguing that the duties were necessary to fix trade imbalances. and revive American manufacturing. However, critics have questioned the constitutionality of the president's trade policy, saying tariffs are fundamentally a legislative power granted to Congress, and that their unilateral imposition represents an example of executive overreach. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to tell you what you need to know. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to know to restore the power to levy tariffs back to the American people, Congress should take immediate steps to reclaim their constitutional authority on tariffs, Pence wrote on Thursday. The former vice president has made similar arguments in the past. In April, he told attendees at a Grove City College event that when you come on the risks or merits associated with tariffs imposed by the Trump administration, the president has no authority in the Constitution to unilaterally impose tariffs without an act of Congress. The National Review reported. Pence has also criticized the tariffs on economic grounds, arguing that resultant price increases on foreign-made goods, specifically dolls, run counter to the American dream. As Pence highlighted on Thursday, Article 1 of the United States Constitution establishes the structure and powers of the legislative branch and grants Congress authority over taxes and duties. Ladies and gentlemen, which means that the Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution only grants Congress the power of the purse and does not give nor grant the power of the purse to the President of the United States. However, Congress has ceded certain tariff powers to the presidency over the years, primarily through Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, Sections 122, 201, and 301 of the Trade Act of 1974, Section 338 of the Tariff Act of 1930, and the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEEPA, of 1977. Wednesday's ruling from the United States Court of International Trade concerned Trump's invocation of the latter. The Manhattan Federal Court argued that neither the fentanyl crisis, which Trump used to justify tariffs on China, Canada, and Mexico, nor the unfair trading relationships that his reciprocal tariffs were intended to fix constituted sufficient emergencies to override Congress's constitutional authority. Quote, because the Constitution's express allocation of the tariff power to Congress, we do not read IEEPA to delegate an unbounded tariff authority to the president, the three-judge panel wrote in its decision, adding, we instead read IEEPA's provisions to impose meaningful limits on any such authority it confers. The administration called the decision a judicial coup and swiftly filed an appeal with the Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit in Washington, which has now paused the lower court's ruling, allowing the tariffs to remain in effect pending the outcome of the appeal. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to tell you guys what people are saying. Ladies and gentlemen, people are saying that President Donald Trump wrote on Truth Social on Thursday that, quote, the horrific decision stated that I would have to get the approval of Congress for these tariffs. In other words, hundreds of politicians would sit around D.C. for weeks and even months trying to come to a conclusion as to what to charge other countries that are treating us unfairly. If allowed to stand, this would completely destroy presidential power. The presidency would never be the same. The presidency of the United States must be allowed, the President of the United States must be allowed to protect Americans against those that are doing it economic and financial harm. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the thing. The trade courts, are not saying that Trump cannot protect the American people. What they're saying, summary-wise, is that you Trump supporters, I added the you Trump supporters, but anyway, you guys, your leader is illegally abusing his power to the authority of him saying that he is Congress, pretty much. And him saying that he can have the authority to impose tariffs. He can't. And therefore he must be impeached. Or, a word I can't say on national, on screen. A word I can't say on screen, but those of you that do not support him, I think you know what I mean. by another way he can be taken out. Continuing with the article, ladies and gentlemen, in the legal breaking reporting. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to tell you what Senator John Kennedy, who is a Republican from Louisiana, told CNN. Ladies and gentlemen, Senator John Kennedy, who is a Republican, again, from the state of Louisiana, told CNN that under the Constitution, Congress has tariff authority. We gave, for better or worse, Congress gave some of that authority to the presidency. Tariffs, the president has been exercising that authority. The issue before the courts, and it's appropriate for them to decide, is whether he has exceeded that authority. I don't think he has, but that's up to the courts to tell us. In that meantime, nothing's going to change. These trade talks are not going to stop, nor should they. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a flat-out, bold-faced lie. The Constitution whatsoever does not give the president the authority whatsoever to impose tariffs without congressional approval. Senator John Kennedy is lying through his teeth. Continuing with the legal breaking reporting and video analysis update. Political economist Veronica D. Ruggie said in the comments shared with Newsweek that the president's power is limited even in emergencies. Declaring a trade deficit isn't an emergency. It's Economics 101. Trump's tariffs weren't just economically destructive. They were legally baseless. Courts rightfully refused to hand over unlimited power to a single person. This ruling drew from conservative judicial doctrines like non-delegation and major questions. These philosophies, embraced by Trump's own judicial nominees, the ruling stores constitutional order by reminding everyone, including Trump, that tariffs power belongs to Congress, not to the president's whims. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to tell you what happens next. Ladies and gentlemen, what happens next is the appeals court's decision means Trump's tariffs remain in place while the case is considered. It has ordered the plaintiffs to respond by June 5th and give the government until June 9 to issue a reply. White House advisor Pete Navarro has said the administration is prepared to take the appeal to the Supreme Court if necessary. He told reporters on Thursday that even if we lose, we will do it another way. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this final legal breaking reporting and video analysis update for tonight. If you did enjoy this legal breaking reporting and video analysis update, please firstly like, comment, share, subscribe, and enjoy. Secondly, if you would like to make sure you stay up to date on all the things legal breaking reporting wise on the side of politics, please follow me on my social medias that'll be linked down below in the video description below. I'm on Instagram, Snapchat, Threads, as well as TikTok and Instagram. Thirdly, if you guys would also like to stay up to date on all the things legal breaking reporting wise on the side of politics, please hit the bell icon as well as the all notifications option. The bell icon is located directly beneath the screen here on the right hand side of the subscribe button. Fourthly, ladies and gentlemen, please help me reach and achieve the overall channel goal of 170 plus subscribers. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I'm saying 170 plus subscribers is because right after we reach and we would achieve the goal of 170 subscribers, we have more subscribers to reach and achieve right after we reach and achieve the goal of 170 subscribers. Fifthly, ladies and gentlemen, please stay safe. Sixth, ladies and gentlemen, furthermore, please stay positive, even though unfortunately I know it's hard for the majority of you to stay positive during these unfortunate, illegal, induced darkness times caused by the illegal, unconstitutional Trump administration, Trump regime. And know that justice will prevail eventually correctly on the correct side of law despite Donald Trump and his illegal, unconstitutional regime and administration's illegal, unconstitutional executive orders, actions, and behaviors. It is even hard for me, unfortunately, at times to stay positive during these unfortunate, illegal, induced darkness times caused by the illegal, unconstitutional Trump administration, Trump regime. Lastly, and always look for the points of light in today's induced darkness caused by the illegal, unconstitutional Trump administration, Trump regime. And I look forward to talking to you guys in my next legal breaking reporting.